Welcome to Beyond the Loss. This is a space for parents who have lost a child in any way, at any age, where no grief is ranked, explained, or excluded. I'm Dr. Sharon Spano, developmental coach, systems thinker, and a parent whose life was forever changed by the death of my own son, Michael. When a child dies, life doesn't return to what it was. Identity shifts, meaning fractures, and yet life continues to ask something of us. These conversations are for parents living this reality and for the professionals who support them. My intention is to offer a space where loss is not compared, judged, or explained away. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Before we go any further, I want to take some time to name what this space is and, just as importantly, what it isn't. Over the course of my career, my work has been grounded in adult human development, systems, thinking, and the way people adapt to disruption, loss, and change. Whether I've been working with leaders, organizations, or families, I've always been most interested in what happens after familiar structures fall away, when identity, meaning, and relationships must reorganize. This podcast emerges from that same inquiry. After much reflection, I've made the decision to transition from my long-running podcast, The Other Side of Potential, into a more focused and contemplative body of work, one centered on a topic that matters deeply to me. This new space is called Beyond the Loss: Life and Identity After a Child Dies. This podcast does not replace or mirror my consulting or coaching work. It isn't an extension of professional services, and it isn't something to be applied or followed. Instead, it explores a domain where human development and systems disruption are unmistakably present, yet often misunderstood or oversimplified. When a child dies, the loss does not sit neatly in time. Identity shifts, relationships change, meaning fractures, and sometimes never fully reforms. And yet, most conversations available to parents focus on early grief, storytelling, or survival. Those spaces matter, and they exist elsewhere. But this is a different kind of conversation that I want to be having. Beyond the Loss is not a storytelling or early grief podcast. It isn't about recounting the circumstances of your child's death, and it isn't about fixing grief, finding closure, or moving on. Instead, the conversations here are reflective and integrative. They center on how life, identity, and meaning reorganize over time, and often unevenly, often without resolution after the death of a child. They are held with care, without comparison, judgment, or hierarchy. You'll hear solo reflections from me, as well as carefully held conversations with parents and professionals who speak not from immediacy, but from lived perspective that has had time to unfold. That distinction matters. There is a difference between the urgency of early grief and the longer, quieter work of integration. This space holds the latter, not because the former is unimportant, but because it is already so well represented. So who is this space for? You may find yourself here if you are a parent who recognizes that distinction that I've just mentioned, someone who is no longer in the earliest phase of loss, but is living inside it in what I call the long after. You may also be here as a professional who supports bereaved parents and is willing to reflect honestly on the limits and blind spots of your own field. Or you may be here because you stand beside someone who has lost a child and sense that the usual language around grief doesn't quite fit. You do not need to have answers to be here, and you do not need to explain your loss, and you don't need to arrive anywhere in particular. This space exists alongside my professional work, not as an offering to be purchased or a path to be followed, but as a place for reflection, dignity, and understanding. If this orientation resonates with you, you're welcome to stay and listen. And if this isn't the right time, I trust that too. In the next episode, I want to begin by exploring something that often goes unnamed: the way identity itself breaks when a child dies, and why there is so little language available to describe who you become afterward. For now, thank you for being here. Thank you for spending this time with me. If this conversation stirred something for you, you don't need to make sense of it right away. There's no timeline for understanding and no right way to carry what remains. Beyond the Loss exists to honor parents who've lost a son or daughter and all the complexity that this implies, and to support the professionals who walk alongside them without comparison, judgment, or explanation. Wherever you are in the long after, you are not required to arrive anywhere else. Until next time, take gentle care.